Who would you say is the faculty member you're most thankful for this year?
Oh my gosh. I plead the fifth. As an American, they're all so amazing. How could I possibly choose just one? That's my final answer. I'm sweating thinking about it. How are you feeling? Ready?
I'm good. Are you good?
I'm still thinking about that last question, so I need to compose myself. Perfect.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amana and I'm a sophomore at WIS.
And how many years have you been here now?
This is my third year at WIS, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. You're here because I had such a great time on your podcast. I thought, let me return the favor.
Thank you.
Why don't you give us a little bit about your grade 10 project?
So for my 10th grade project, I'm making a podcast where I'm going to be interviewing experts on college scholarships, the college process, things like that to really inform specifically DC high schoolers what that process is like, and to help especially students who don't have that access to information in their own schools or in their own families. So I feel like hopefully this podcast could reach those students who don't have access to that information, so they also have the opportunity to apply to certain colleges.
And I was honored to be your first guest. And I was intrigued to understand your IDI lens to your podcast, because you didn't have to do that. What inspired that focus?
I would say during my research, when I was researching kind of the different demographics that are more in higher education and I would say higher paying jobs, I noticed there was, especially in DC, many people of color were very much underrepresented in those in higher education and things like that. And so I really wanted to make this podcast to hopefully inspire people of color to apply for higher education and go for those high paying jobs, even if they don't see representation just yet, so that maybe they could become representation for the next generation.
I love that. And when you have started your research, reaching out to different people to be on your podcast, what are you hoping for in terms of the special quality in your guests?
I really want each of my guests to have a personal experience and just a personal connection to the topic that I would focus on for that podcast. So I chose you to be my first guest because obviously it was about diversity and diversity in education. So of course your job fits that title, but I also wanted to just focus on representation of people of color, and I thought that you would also be a great fit because of that.
Appreciate that. And you also mentioned you like the idea of the podcast being really natural, being a conversation. And I definitely felt incredibly comfortable. Your questions were great. What in your past makes you want to deliver your podcast in that way? Almost just like a home conversation.
I like listening to podcasts as well, and I always find that podcasts that feel more like an interview, and they just feel less natural, and they're not as nice to listen to. And I feel like listening to more of a conversation, it makes the listener feel more a part of that conversation, and it feels more natural. Yeah.
And if you wanted to leave one message for the school community, what would that message be?
I really want to just show that anyone could be in any position if you just really put your mind to it. And I think that especially in DC, there are certain communities that don't have the same amount of access to resources that other communities do, which leads to kind of that opportunity gap. And so I'm hoping that with my podcast, students can listen and find that information that they need so that they can really expand their future opportunities.
Amazing. And I'm really looking forward to the first episode to be released.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Done.